And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shimmering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Plz. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio on the 13th of March, 2009. It's a Friday, the 13th. And so forth. I'm breaking mirrors. And black cats are here. That's not a cat. It works! What can I say? It's Friday night. Welcome to the show. And what a show we have for you today. Coming up in the show today, we'll be talking about a whole manner of wonderful things, as we usually do. And claiming that they're all terrible, as we also usually do. Questions, many questions today, such as, will hard modes and achievements save Ulduar if it turns out to be too easy? Are hard modes really enough? Or are we just looking for some really challenging, meaty content like the old days? We shall see as it comes up a little bit later in the show. Also, dead content, i.e. 95% of the game is officially dead content. It is not alive. It has ceased to be. It is an X content. And indeed an X continent. Should anything be done about it? Or are we simply moving from continent to continent like a hive fleet of evil tyranids, devouring all the quests, rewards, and epics there are to be had before moving on to the next world? Who knows? We shall see. Also, the Immortal and the Undying to be removed from the Ulduar meta achievement. And the question is, should they also be removed from the normal meta achievement as well? And why exactly is this achievement causing so much drama? And why indeed do people care so much about an achievement? It's a great question. We'll be answering it a little bit later on in the show. And of course, your chance to contribute to the show. You can email themurloc@gmail.com with the illusion of choice. At which point, you can choose the last topic for the show. If it's good, I shall do it. If it's not, I will not. Email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. And if for some inexplicable reason you have issues spelling it, then I would suggest you go to the website, wcuradio.com. You see a little link under our show badge. It's wonderful. One of the new features we are bringing into WoW Radio V4. Oh, yeah. Now, speaking of new features, before I go on to the mailbag, I've got a couple of things to announce. As I like to do this. It's cool. Like, one of my few pleasures as owner of WoW Radio is to get to announce cool new stuff. So I'm going to announce two things today. Oh yes, two things. The first thing is I've decided that perhaps it might be time to blog. Now, I've been thinking about blogging for a long time, and personally I think it's kind of a waste of time most of the time. But I've come up with a decent concept that I think works, and I'm calling it Blog Plz. For when 15 minutes just doesn't satisfy you, and in my experience, that's never the case. But let's assume that it is the case for once, and the purpose of this particular blog is to supplement the content that goes on in this show. It's to provide further musings, discussions, and, generally speaking, more rational arguments to support what's been going on the show. So you can check it out if you go to our IRC channel, Our IRC rep Si will be providing you with a link to this blog. It's only just gone up. It's got a few postings on there already. I intend to update it on a semi-regular basis with musings and stuff, because I can't think of another good word. Musings is a good enough word to cover everything. Musings, yes. It should betray a musing. Amusant, as the French might say. Although probably not that badly. So head over to blueplz.blogspot.com. That is blueplz.blogspot.com. There's a lot of B's in there. Covered in them, in fact. And you can check out the blog, if you so wish. Now, speaking of blogs, we had a fellow in our IRC channel last week that many of you got to meet and be all inquisitive around. And that his name, I believe, was Fred Jones. And he is older than I, let me put it that way. And he's been hanging around to do reviews for the new blog, undergroundwow.blogspot.com, which is a blog dedicated to reviewing the world of WoW podcasting, and quite frankly, it couldn't have come at a better time. It's certainly about time that the world of WoW podcasting got a little bit of critique, a little bit of review, and a little bit of accountability, more than anything, instead of being some kind of happy, clappy group of podcasters who somehow think they're part of some crazy community where everyone's going to hold hands and dance around and say, hey, we all podcast, aren't we awesome? When in reality, the vast majority of them probably aren't. Let's face it. I like this blog because they are critical, they are fair, and they are very analytical. Critical and analytical. And I can pronounce those two together. I'm quite surprised after a week of mundane work, I must say. Now, naturally, after mentioning this blog on the last week's show, the amount of people viewing the blog did increase. However, I believe the blog requires more support. So, I'm going to throw something out there. They have been getting quite a number of views, but not an awful lot of comments. Now, I've noticed the Blogspot has a rather nifty feature in that you can leave a comment using, like, your Google account. Yeah? You can go to comment as. You can look at it. If you've got a live journal, if you've got a WordPress, a TypePad, AIM, OpenID, or a Google account, you can do that. So you don't have to register, which is really nice. So, I'm going to throw this one out there for you. I'm going to host a contest. And this contest will be to win an exclusive copy of the Art of World of Warcraft hardback Burning Crusade book. Yes, indeed. It is a very, very nice book indeed. Hardback, it's about 120... Actually, it could be more than that. Well, like almost 200 pages, I think, of fantastic WoW artwork from the Burning Crusade. I have a copy of this in pristine condition, and if for some inexplicable reason you like that kind of thing, I will also sign it for you. And that is going out as a contest prize. Now, if you wish to enter this contest, all you have to do is go to undergroundwow.blogspot.com, have a look at their posts, and over the next week, I'll announce the winner on next week's Blue Plz. Over the next week, leave a meaningful comment on one of their posts. I'd like to get some discussion going over here. I think it's a good blog. I think it deserves a bit of support, so I'm going to put my weight behind it. My considerable 10.5 stone of weight. It's not really considerable, is it? But whatever. I shall put my e-weight behind it. Electronic weight. Which could be over 9,000. Who knows? So yeah, check it out. undergroundwow.blogspot.com. It's very, very good. Hopefully very, very impartial. I expect some strong critique of our shows over the next few weeks, people. You better. You better live up to my expectations. You go soft on me now. There will be things that you have never imagined. Horrors. Now, quite enough of that. It's time for this.
That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's time for some mail. Now, cracking my fingers, just like I'm sitting in front of a grand piano in front of an audience of millions, to play my ultimate sonata. Unfortunately, this is not an ultimate sonata, this is just a wall of text email, so here we go. It's from Rankin at a website called wowstolemygf.net. I have no idea what that is at all, but it sounds relatively interesting. Now, He says this, just a brief note about your comment concerning WoW casual players and the possibility of clearing raid content. I'd like to say, first of all, that I am not inclined to whine and complain about not having time to raid, etc. However, I do find myself in the position of not having the time to raid, because of my work schedule, which is erratic and changes from week to week and day to day, and the living situation I have found myself in. I was never able to do many raids pre-Wrath. I can't commit to raiding with my guild since I can't plan in advance what times I have to be at work, and often when I sit down to play, I don't know if I will have 5 minutes or 5 hours of uninterrupted time. Depends on whether the kid is in bed and other personal issues. Invariably, the majority of my time is spent playing between 11 PM and 8 AM server time. I have not made my way to 80 yet since Wrath came out, so I don't know if that will change. But as I said before, I have a certain lifestyle and a certain job because that is what I've chosen to do. And with all the other problems in life, I have more important things to complain about than how convenient the game is for me to play. I enjoy the game, I enjoy listening to podcasts about the game world and writing blog posts about the things I find fun about the game. One day I may be able to raid, especially if Nax is reasonably puggable as I hear. I level slowly, partly because of my hectic schedule, partly because I enjoy the questing content and refuse to race to max level. But I have to say this to a lot of whiners. If you find yourself unable to raid because of a real-life scheduling problem, then change your real-life schedule. Or enjoy the other aspects of the game, PvP, questing, achievements, etc. Don't ruin raiding for the rest of the people. My wife is a dedicated raider and she has to work at rearranging her schedule in order to make that work. I know that if I were ever to find a different line of work or start a character on an Oceanic or EU server, so that the time difference would give me playtime during prime hours, I could raid as well. But since I'm not at this point willing to do that, I will not ruin the game for everyone by demanding the same rewards for a lesser output of time. I want WoW to be like it used to be, where it was mystified and enchanted by the endgame content that I might have had a chance to glimpse, instead of having people in 10-man Nax, as I hear told, who don't even understand the gameplay. Keep the game fun and challenging. That's from Rankin. Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from there. I've had a couple of emails actually on this subject after I discussed last week the idea that perhaps casual players don't really exist, and I would say that I was reasonably wrong on that. Indeed, there are casual players around, but I will say that it is a lot easier to raid, the fact that basically everything is puggable. Now, what I did discover over the week when I was discussing it, and particularly when I posted the is casual and hardcore debate obsolete post on the EU forums, which is going quite nicely at the moment, and indeed you can find that on the EU forums or look on the new blog that I posted where that's also, that yes, while a lot of content is puggable, that doesn't mean that it's desirable. In that, yes, you can pug it. Absolutely. 110%. Go pug it. However, the last thing you want to do as a casual player who has limited amounts of time is to go into a pug that's going to wipe on the first boss of Spiderwing. And yes, I would actually see the point of that. Indeed, pugs are horrific. I've seen pugs wipe on VOA for no apparent reason other than the fact that you've got like 5 DKs there that are all doing 1000 DPS or below. I raided with a mage, yeah? A mage. Arcane mage, no less. That did 800 DPS. It's like, you realise I could probably do about half that with my wand, right? I mean, I would have to try, seriously try to fail that hard. I mean, that is really difficult. I mean, my gear's not bad, but then again, neither was his. You've got to bear this in mind, that I only have a couple of best in slot items. The rest of it's like tier 7.5-ish level. You're looking at like 213 item levels, some 200 item level, not all that much 226. I've got maybe 2 pieces of 226 item level gear. So, I'm about average level for anyone that actually raids. Yeah, I'm pretty well enchanted. I mean, I've got like best in slot enchants, and I've also now trained up my jewel crafting, which I must add was horrible. Oh, whoever said leveling jewel crafting was fun was lying through their back teeth. Good lord. What a horrible profession to level up. Oh well, never mind. I sunk about like 4,000 gold on it and got myself leveled up to the level where I could use those special gems, because I wanted to increase the amount of damage I could do. So I'm currently sitting on about 2,150 spell damage or so. So you can see me as kind of an average, slightly above average player. Certainly not best in slot by any stretch, but pretty good. Now, if I'm doing like 4 to 5 times the DPS of some other mage who is similarly geared and similarly spec'd, then I must wonder what he is doing. Or if indeed he's doing anything. Whether he was AFK for the entire thing. It's like, I'd like to argue that that was the reason. It's like, oh, he was AFK, had to get called away. But actually, I know that he wasn't. He was just using a terrible rotation. I mean, seriously. I've never seen anyone use the rotation Arcane Blast, Arcane Barrage. What? What are you doing? What on earth is that? Seriously, you don't seem to understand. I mean, this guy was like sitting on full mana at the end of fight. It's like, you wonder why you're on full mana. You've got all this mana to burn. You've got like 21 to 25k mana you could burn in a fight which should last about 5 minutes. You've got your mana gems and you've got your 2-minute evocation, and you're doing that? Really? I mean, that's like an emergency rotation. That's my absolute last resort rotation. That's beyond my second last resort rotation, which is blast, 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 missiles, barrage. Whereas it should be like blast, 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 barrage, or blast, 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 barrage, or blast, 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 missile barrage if you've got it. I don't know what he's playing at. But anyway, there's just seemed to be this massive divide between actual casual players and just plain bad players. I mean, this guy had raid gear, this guy had tier 7.5, don't know where he got it, probably the same place I got mine, which was off of VOA. But good lord, he was absolutely terrible. Now, I would have to agree with the email there. It's like, you can raid, it's been made available to you. But please, 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 for the love of God, just sit down and think for 1 second before you post your latest whine on the forums saying, oh, raiding's too hard, or oh, the no-lifers are getting it. Just how much of a benefit it's really going to be if Blizzard nerfs raid content down to the level where you can basically face roll everything without even trying. Because right now it's almost there, really. Unless you're doing stuff like an achievement or whatever, one of the special raid achievements has a special spelled with an S-P-E-S-H-U-L, because some of them are absolutely ridiculous. We'll be coming on to that later. Unless you're trying one of them, seriously, raiding is getting way too easy right now, and the last thing you want to do is nerf it more, because when you actually get there, it's like, you'll use this as an excuse. When you get there, in the pugs that everyone can face roll, you're not going to have any fun. Seriously, you're not. Games that are too easy are not enjoyable. Unless you have a challenge, there's no point in doing it. It's just a waste of your time. And as a casual player, your time is limited. So it better be quality time. And it's not gonna be if you keep pushing it this way. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. When we come back after the break, we'll be talking about hard modes in Ulduar and the idea of world firsts with hard modes and achievements. Where on earth is that going? Who knows? You'll find out after this. Enjoy. You are listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com. Yes, indeed, folks, you're tuning in to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. Now, so we're going to talk about hard modes and achievements in Ulduar. But first, there's something I want to play for you. Now, I created this. This is a old Nubcake news back from May 2007, so it's almost 2 years old now. But what I want you to do, I'm assuming most of you have probably forgotten this anyway, so I'm okay to play it. This is very relevant to this current topic, so I'm going to play it, and then I would like you to think, just while you're listening to it, have a think about how much of this actually turned out to be true. So I'm going to play this for you now, and then we'll come back and discuss the topic at hand, which is hard modes and achievements in Ulduar. Nubcake News! Stop that. Welcome to this week's edition of Nubcake News. Coming up later in the program, Blizzard announces it will solve faction imbalance by converting everyone's characters into dwarf females. It is reported that Terpster cried tears of joy at this announcement. But first, controversy has erupted over the recent death of Lady Varsh by raiding guild and part-time marching band Method, with some players claiming, that was a bit mean, what did she ever do to you? We were able to recover black box footage of her final moments, which we will now play for you. We must warn you that this footage is graphic and may frighten younger children and sissies. Sko, it's too dangerous to go alone. Here, take this. A vial of highly corrosive and hilarious acid. What am I supposed to do with this? Throw it at the bitch. Okay, here goes. Ah, my eyes. This ball bat's doing nothing.
WTF, Vash is a dude? Dude, this is wow, what the hell did you think she was? However, not all is kittens and roses and vials of hilarious acid here in World of Raidcraft, and some have called into question the legitimacy of Nihilum's World First. In an effort to resolve the situation, guild leaders from some of the top raiding guilds in Azeroth have called a conference in which they have decided to sit down and set down firm and solid rules as to what is a world first and what is not. Order, order, I call to order this meeting. Guildmaster Kungan, would you please open these proceedings with your statement? Kungan smash all others are weaklings. Very poignant, thank you. Now, I must bring to attention the fact that the peasants are revolting. Yes, I know, they're disgusting. Look at them in their greens. Greens was so last expansion. No, I mean they're up in arms over world firsts. They seem to be confused as to what is a world first and what isn't. Well, that's understandable. These days it's not as simple as just killing a boss anymore. There are various other factors to consider. Indeed. So, we must, for their benefit, since their opinion is the definitive reason as to why we raid in the first place, we must set down firm and solid rules for world first kills. SKO of method, if you please. Thank you. Yes, if we believe that a world first kill must involve killing the boss first in the world before everyone else. Yes, that sounds sensible. What do you think, Gerald D. fanboy? Don't be ridiculous. In this modern world of Warcraft, it is not enough to simply kill a boss anymore. It must be done with panache, with style. Okay, what do you mean by that? Trick points! Trick points? Yes, we must learn lessons from previous raiding games such as SSX Snowboarding and Project Gotham 2. I see. So, what do you have in mind? Legitimate world first may now only be done upside down. Upside down? What, you mean the entire raid? Of course! That'll separate the real raiders from the fakers. Well, that makes some sort of sense, I suppose. What do you think of all this, Kungan? Kungan has been tanking upside down since Ragefire Chasm. Kungan tanks all. Feed the Kungan. The Kungan hungers. No, Kungan, please. Kungan, will you please stop devouring the guests?
Kungan, sorry.
Yes, quite. Anyway, so, the boss must be killed while the raid is upside down. Everyone in favour? Yes, good. Let us continue. Mr. Fanboy, if you please. We know that the current raid limit for major boss encounters is 25 players. I propose that a true world first kill must only consist of 7.5 raiders, and at least 3 of these must be hunters. Whoa, hang on there. Since when did raiding guilds use hunters for anything? They must level new alts if they want a true world first kill. I'm sorry, did you say 7.5 raiders? Yes, I did. But how can you have half a raider? Kungan, if you please. Oh God, my legs! He's severed my legs! Oh God, the agony! See? Half a raider. Yes. Someone get some heavy rune cloth on him before he makes a mess of the carpet. But all of this is only enough for half a world first. Wouldn't half a world first be a world 0.5? Surely that would actually come before a world first. Does this mean that all previous world firsts never actually happened? Exactly. But let's not talk about that now. It has come to my attention that some of the lesser guilds have been using consumables to get ahead. A true raider must not do this. A true raider must in fact debuff himself. But how can we do this? Simple. Every attempt must be made with res sickness. Only then, after these criteria are fulfilled, may a world first be achieved. Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. Kungan, what do you make of all this? Kungan, is that a paladin you're wielding? Kungan heard about pally tanking. Kungan thought he'd try it. Kungan tanks all. Kungan, I don't think that's what they meant by pally tanking. My God! Stop hitting me! Good God, why? Puny mortal, you are not hardcore enough. Live inside your character. Live! And so the conclusion, not a single world first has ever actually happened, which means, guys, everything's up for grabs. So go get raiding. Van Cleef awaits. This has been Nopecake News. Good night.
Yes, indeed. That was an old Nubcake News from May 2007. Now, I wasn't simply playing it to fill in time. What I'd like to highlight is, how damn prophetic was that? That was supposed to be a comedy segment, not what actually happened. Seriously, Blizz. They listened to that, thought that's what the community actually wants, and then brought in achievements and hard modes. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. Please, somebody do not show them the episode where I said the New Alliance race will be motorbikes. Oh, damn, too late. Why? Why? Anyway, I have recovered from that. It highlights the ridiculous nature that you've got to think of just how silly hard modes and achievements actually are when you look at them. Really. You think now that, like, yeah, these are kind of cool. But then if you look at it from that perspective, it's like, what is this? Why would you do this? Achievements, let's go for the ones with knacks to start with. The ones with knacks are a great example, because some of those are absolutely pointless. A prime example would be Lowertheb. Lowertheb, the Spore one. I can't remember what the name of the Spore one is, but it's like, kill Lowertheb without blowing up any of the spores. Now, from a gameplay perspective, there is absolutely no reason to do that. Like, not a single reason. There is no good reason at all. It doesn't really make the encounter more challenging, because Lowertheb is piss easy to begin with. But what it does do is make the fight twice as long and infinitely more boring. And let's face it, let's have a look at it from an RP perspective. Never really done this before, but yes, an RP perspective, whatever that means. RP. Ra-per. Or however you wish to pronounce it. Now, from a Ra-per perspective, if you're fighting this boss, and a load of evil, like, 20-foot-high spores were coming at you, trying to kill you, the last thing you would do is leave them alive, especially when you discover that, ooh, look, the spore disc gives you superpowers, which is quite similar to what happened when Kiki-Jiki picked up a saucepan that had been lying outside for 6 months and attempted to clean it at our old place. Bad idea. Kiki-Jiki was since imbued with the ability to fly and have a terminal form of cancer. Oh well, inhaling spores probably not the best of ideas. He can still fly, so, I think it balances out. Now, there is no reason at all for that. Your character wouldn't do that. In any way, any respect. I mean, some of them, okay, I can get, like, kill Patchwork in 2 minutes. That makes sense. Like, kill... Oh, is it 3 minutes? 3 minutes. We kill him in 2, because we're awesome. Whatever. I can also get the, oh, don't get zapped by Thaddeus achievement. But some of them are like, kill all 4 horsemen simultaneously. Why? What possible reason could I have to want to do that? It's like playing chess, so it's like, take away your good pieces. Like a possible handicap. Like, yes, I will beat you at Marvelous Capcom 2 with one hand tied behind my back. That's not a gameplay feature. Not even in the slightest. It's a handicap. Games that have that kind of thing in, they generally have handicaps so that you can balance yourself out against other people. I cannot imagine why you would do that. It's alright. From an RP perspective, there's no reason. Any other perspective? Any other possible reason? Well, you know, it's the idea of achievements. Well, what have you achieved other than wasting your time? Lord knows. Seriously. But all of these arbitrary requirements are, of course, going to continue. The system's in there. It's here to stay. We're just going to accept that. Now, we've seen a number of placeholder achievements, some of which are rather interesting. There's one like called Crazy Cat Lady in Old War, which is defeat the boss while doing something cool. That's the entire... That is it in a nutshell right there. That's a little bit of self-derogatory humour from Blizzard, intentional or otherwise. Defeat the boss while doing something cool. Or more accurately, defeat the boss while doing something incredibly stupid and impractical. Defeat the boss while hopping on one leg. Defeat the boss with 7.5 raiders. Defeat the boss with 3 hunters in your raid and 7.5 raiders. Defeat the boss with 3 hunters in your raid, 7.5 raiders, standing upside down. Defeat the boss with 3 hunters, standing upside down, 7.5 raiders, and debuff from res sickness. Where does it end? It's silly. Why would you jump through those kind of hoops? I don't get it. Now, the funny thing about hard modes is that hard modes are pretty much achievements. They're the same thing. You've got a requirement that you have to fulfill that involves killing the boss in a more difficult way than usual, and usually in a completely impractical way. Like the first hard mode, is going to be that big crawly thing whose name escapes me. The first robot boss or whatever. First boss of the instance with the tanks and stuff you can use. Now, the hard mode is to kill it without killing any of the defense towers. Who in their right mind would do that? Seriously, if you were going from an RP perspective, there's no way that a group of seasoned adventurers would say, oh look, there are defense towers raining fiery death upon us. Shall we leave them alive, or shall we not? Tough choice there. Oh, we get extra loot by that. Why? There's no good reason for that. I can understand for, like, Sartharian, for instance. Like, Sartharian... No, actually, no, that's a lie. I can't understand it from that either. From an RP perspective, the hard mode on Sartharian also makes no sense. Yes, I would understand that if you ignored all the drakes and went for the drakes would come and help. That's fine. But extra loot? No! You've killed the drakes anyway. Surely if the drakes are the ones that have the loot, and the drakes are the ones that cause the loot, then the loot would be on the drake's corpse. But it's not. The only time this has ever made sense is back in AQ40. Vemkri and Youch, the bug trio. You want to know how they made sense? Yeah? Just FYI, for those who don't know, the order in which you killed the bug trio gave you different loot, yeah? And some of it was better, and there were 3 different ways of doing it, and some were harder than others. Like, the easiest way, as I recall, I can't remember, whatever. Leaving Lord Kree till last was the most difficult, and he dropped some pretty cool loot. They had shared loot as well, but they had some unique items. Now, here's the way they did it. Whenever you kill one of the bugs, the other 2 bugs went and ate him. They ate his corpse. There was nothing left. So his loot was actually eaten. That was the way they did it. Now, it would be nice to see that actually morphed into the current hard modes in Old War. Indeed, the current hard modes that we currently have right now. But there isn't really a difference in terms of design philosophy and the way that things operate between hard modes and achievements. They're basically the same thing. Like, hard mode on Patchwork would be kill the boss in 3 minutes. That's the hard mode. Hard mode on Thaddeus, don't cross the streams, effectively. Hard mode on 4 Horsemen, kill all 4 Horsemen simultaneously. Hard mode on Kel'Thuzad, kill 18 abominations before that, which makes the first phase a little bit hectic and less dull. Hard mode on Sapphiron, don't wear frost resistance gear. That's not really hard, but whatever. You see my point, though? It's the same thing. You compare that to the hard modes we get in Old War, it's like, kill this without killing this. It just makes the fight harder. The difference being, one of them gives you extra loot, the other one doesn't. And yet, they most likely both give you achievements. One is an achievement with loot, one is an achievement without loot. Which I do find rather bizarre. Now, I suppose it kind of makes sense from the Sarth 3 Drake's perspective, because Sarth 3 Drake's doesn't actually drop any extra loot aside from a mount than Sarth 2 Drake's does. And yet the achievement gives you a title, so I can understand getting the achievement for that. But then again, that's really the uber hard mode. That's the thing about Sarth 3 Drake's that is interesting to me, because it's not a binary hard mode. There's actually 4 different ways of doing that fight, each of which affects the loot in some way, and each of which has its own achievement. Now, I don't know whether or not the hard modes in Old War are going to end up being binary, or they're going to have all of these multiple ways. Like, what happens if I only kill 2 of those defense towers? What about 3? What about 1? Is that going to make a difference, or is it kind of binary? I either leave them all up or not at all. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Now, while that's all well and good, it has to come to the idea of, well, why exactly are hard modes there in the first place? Because we never really had them before. They've cropped up from time to time for various different reasons, some of which intentional, some of them not. You know, Hakar, of course, being one unintentional, or is it? Yes, it would be an unintentional hard mode, whereby there's no real point in doing it in hard mode, it just makes it harder. Whereas Vemkri and Youch, of course, was different. So, does it add anything to the raid instance? What it concerns me more than anything is the fact that if you're going to add hard modes, then the chances are you're going to tune the rest of the instance an awful lot lower. Which isn't in itself a bad thing. It just bothers me, I suppose, that you have to do the same fight multiple times in different ways. However, the argument could also be made that this is what you were doing anyway. Yeah? Raiding Guilds cleared content pretty fast when it was introduced in the other expansions as well. And they had to basically keep farming. Now, I suppose you could then argue that hard mode gives the opportunity to vary your week-to-week runs a little bit. You could either just go for an entirely hard mode run, or maybe say, well, this week we're going to try this hard mode. Blah, 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 etc., etc. I think it gives it a bit of extra longevity. Not much, but extra. Now, whether or not that longevity is going to match up to the amount of, say, development time it's going to take to bring in the next piece of raid content, well, that's questionable. Now, there is another factor that we should look at, and this has been indicated. If you look at MMO Champion, and indeed I believe this was also a blue post as well, there is mention of unique achievements related to hard modes and unique Realm First achievements related to hard modes. Now, that is very interesting, because that indicates to me that World Firsts, and indeed Realm Firsts, are now just not going to count unless you do it in the hardest way imaginable. I don't know what I think about that, to be quite honest. But it does bring us back, of course, to what you just heard with the Nubcake news. What's a real world first anymore? Is it going to change? It'll be interesting to see. Now, whether or not that actually matters, I don't know. I think the raiding metagame and the actual element of competition there, I don't think the element of competition is going to change, but I certainly think there'll be an awful lot more animosity between raiding guilds who say, oh, well, I did this, well, I did this. It harkens back to when Insidia first cleared everything, but Method, I believe, killed SKILL Drakes before Insidia did. Now, this may be wrong, so please feel free to correct me, but as I recall back on the Insidia show, which was episode 4 of Pug, they mentioned with some derogatory tone the fact that, oh, Method has killed Sartharian with X number of Drakes, and that this doesn't really matter because we killed Sartharian world first. Well, judging by the level of the content, indeed, the challenge of Sartharian 3 Drakes being vastly... I mean, we're not just talking about 3 times harder than Sartharian, we're talking like 10, 20 times harder, and on 10 man, even more so than Sartharian, who, let's face it, on his own is an incredibly simple fight. Yes, that actually was an achievement, and yes, that really was a world first, but was the Sartharian kill really a world first? Technically, yes, but did it mean anything? That's what really matters. Just calling it a world first is really just there for the sake of an arbitrary badge, just like an achievement. But whether or not you actually did something challenging that took an awful lot of effort and you were in genuine competition with other guilds to do, now that I think matters a bit more. It's a brave new world we're setting foot in, that's for sure. I have come around to the idea that, yes, hard modes are a good idea. I don't really subscribe to the idea that they're cheap content, because to be honest, it very much depends on how fast they bring in a new raid instance after Ulduar. If it takes them like 6+ months to introduce new raid content, then I would say that yes, this was an artificial way to attempt to extend the longevity of an instance which should have been defeated and kind of died long ago. But you got to look at the speed of introduction of other content in WoW and compare that to what's happening right now. Bringing out Ulduar about 4 to 5 months after the release of the expansion is reasonable. What isn't reasonable is the fact that while TBC did this as well, TBC also provided 2 full-sized raid instances more than you actually get with this expansion. So, Blizzard, in my opinion, are kind of playing catch-up. If they wait the length of, say, Black Temple to Sunwell to release a new set of content, I think we might be in trouble. And I also don't believe that having 10 and 25-man versions equates to having 2 different instances. It doesn't. And I don't think that excuses it. So, while you might have had TBC say, oh, right, what did we get in TBC? Well, we got Black Temple and Mount Hyjal. Mount Hyjal, bear in mind, was like half finished before they even released the Burning Crusade. We got those 2 big instances there. And then we got Zulaman a bit later. And then, of course, we got Sunwell plus a 5-man, and that was the raid content that was introduced there. Are we going to get Ulduar, and then are we just not going to get our Zulaman because we have 10 and 25-man versions? Are they going to say, oh, well, Ulduar 10-man counts as the Zulaman? When it's really, it's just a slimmed down version of existing instance, which is really not extra content. It's just different ways and different paths to access the same stuff. Certainly interesting to see, and I do hope that Blizzard does take that in mind and thinks, well, actually, yeah, just because we've made content more accessible does not give us an excuse to make less of it. Oh no. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. Wow, my throat is so dry. I'm going to go get a drink, and right back after this break, we'll be talking about dead content. 95% of the world is dead. Should anything really be done about it, or should it simply be left to fester in the ground? I'll be right back after this. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com.
Let's face it, everywhere you go, you see adverts for Ventrilo server providers. With so many to choose from, how do you make the decision about which is right for you and your guild? To help you with the decision, we brought in WoW Radio's very own bleeding-edge hardcore raiders to show you which provider the world's top players trust.
Loot the stupid car hound!
No. Tank it over there. You're setting the raid on fire.
Someone pulled ads, guys!
Oh, for God's sakes! Heal the tank! Heal the tank!
Hey, guys, it's okay to DI the tank, right?
Why are you smiting and not healing?
Is that a halibut? Are you DPSing with a halibut?
Leave George alone! You'll hurt his feelings!
You named that halibut?
Guys, I think we're wiping.
What gave you that idea?
Well, we're all standing in the graveyard arguing. UGT Ventrilo servers, the only choice for the elite of the elite. Hi, I'm TotalBiscuit, the best and sexiest mage on the planet. When you're like me, you don't have downtime between raids and promotional photo shoots. That's why I use UGT Ventrilo servers. I don't have to get my hands dirty trying to fix a broken server, because it was never broken to begin with. UGT servers provide crystal clear voice communication with excellent hands-on support to make sure your server is always up and running. Not only that, their prices are so low, I was able to use the extra money to buy this £32 salmon. What, you didn't think I was going to be outdone by Dustin, did you? Hey guys, want to run some BRD? Get your premium quality Ventrilo server from UGTservers.com. Be the best. Well, second best.
What the hell is this, and why is it on my playlist? This is horrible. I mean, listen to this. Listen to this for a second. It's like a really, really angry Norwegian MIDI file. It's like what Doom would have been if it was covered in corpse paint. Jesus, stop it now. Yes, indeed, folks, you're tuning in to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. We've got so much content to cover and so little time to do it in, but thankfully, being the station owner, I can flaunt all the rules and just do my show as long as I like. Now, I want to round off the achievement topic, because I got a PM which is quite interesting. I think it requires a little bit of clarification, so I'm going to read this out. Someone believes, basically, that achievements are there to log your progress. They are not the motivation for doing content. The achievements are most easy and senseless. Would you be satisfied if they would call them something else? As I see it, you are basically arguing over the semantics of the word achievement, not the actual game mechanic, if it can even be called one. Sure, there are people that want to have the small pet achievement, but they would have gathered all those pets by themselves anyway. Now, here's the issue. I think you're looking at the achievement system in a manner that, just sees one side of it. The achievement system is a two-sided coin. You've got to think originally where it was actually taken from. This was not an original idea by Blizzard. It was stolen from Microsoft. It was ripped off part and parcel from Xbox Live. The Xbox 360 introduced achievements in their modern form, and they've continued ever since, and indeed you can get similar things on Steam, games for Windows Live, and of course the PlayStation 3 with trophies, which is kind of like the sort of middle school version of it. Here, have this plastic trophy, as opposed to actually achieving anything. Anyway, there are two reasons, and there are two kinds of achievement, yeah? The first kind of achievement is the progress tracking one. Like, for instance, beat this level, yeah? There's plenty of achievements in various different games. Some of them, the more unimaginative achievements, consist almost entirely of beat this level achievements. However, there are other achievements that you have to go out of your way to get, yeah? You have to do something that you would not normally do in your normal kind of standard play session. Even if you were the best at the game, maybe you've beaten the entire game, you still wouldn't get these achievements because you just would not have done that. It's not something that would occur to you in the normal progress of play to actually do. Now, that synergizes perfectly and represents in a carbon copy fashion the way that the achievement system in WoW works. There are two kinds of achievements. There are one, say, like Chant Me to the Frozen Wastes, which tracks your progress, and there is another, like Glory of the Raider, which does not track your progress, it tracks your ability to do things in odd and bizarre and out of the ordinary ways. Yeah? You gotta look at this stuff like Chant Me the Frozen Wastes, beat all these bosses, is basically Chant Me the Frozen Wastes, as opposed to Glory of the Raider, which is like, do Lower Theb without spores, kill all 4 horsemen, blah 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 blah, you know, Mama said knock you out, for instance, stuff like that, stuff that you simply would not do in the normal progress of play, because that's not actually how you're supposed to do the encounter, eh? That actually goes against the mechanics. It's like, you're not supposed to do Grand Widow Philina without killing the ads. That's not what it was designed for, and it doesn't give you any benefit whatsoever doing that. You were not supposed to do Lower Theb without the spores. You were not supposed to kill all 4 horsemen simultaneously. You're not supposed to kill 18 abominations. You have to go out of your way to do that. You have to go and actually pull them. There's no reason. There is no good reason at all to do that. So that's the difference right there. Now, the concern that I've got is if more of these out of the ordinary stuff kind of goes forward into the game and into the future raid instances, and indeed allows for kind of meta achievement progress as opposed to stuff that actually makes sense. I don't mind tracking, you know, achievements are great for tracking progress. It's the kind of weird stuff that bothers me. Anyway, that's by the by, and I think that's a reasonable wrap up on that particular topic. Now, we're going to move on to a different topic, and that's the idea of dead content. Now, dead content, specifically, what am I talking about there? I'm talking about content that really no player who's been here for any degree of length of time has any reason to do again. Yeah? I'm not just talking about levels, you know, leveling content. Leveling content exists for the purpose of getting an ult, yeah? Or bringing a friend into the game. The old instances exist for exactly the same reason. The leveling instances. That's not dead content as such. No, it's not. What it is leveling content, so there is a purpose for it being there. Now, what is dead content? There's a lot of different pieces of dead content. You can look at, for instance, the kind of currency that's available. You can look at Alterac Valley Honor tokens, for instance. That's dead content. What about emblems of heroism, badges of justice? That's dead content. There's quite a lot of things like that. Of course, the raids are also a primary example. All of that is dead content. World bosses, dead content. All of this stuff that basically was brought in there and now has no practical purpose anymore. It's been left to fester. Now, I suppose the question you then have to ask is whether or not anything should be done about that. And indeed, whether or not more stuff should be done with the old world, because the old world has barely changed. There's been a few things that have been introduced from time to time, but by and large, the Outlands in the old world have not changed in the past 6+ months. Indeed, the Outlands have not changed actually since the Sunwell patch, as I recall. No, I don't believe they have. And the old world content hasn't really changed since they brought in, let's think, Zoloman, I believe, would be the last piece of old world content they put in there, if I remember correctly, give or take. Now, the question is, should anything be done about that? We'll deal first with the old raids. Now, let me just get this out of the way first. This is just something I've got to point out. You know, we've been doing this raiding project with Arcanist Belt, the level 60 rerolling guild, having a lot of fun, and we went to Molten Core for the first time last week, just to kill a few bosses and stuff like that. And it reminded me of one thing. Molten Core is the worst instance ever made by anybody. It is absolutely horrible. If any of you have any positive memories of Molten Core, let me assure you, from the bottom of my heart, it is simply due to nostalgia. It sucks. It is a horrible instance. The bosses are pathetic, by and large. I've got to say, we went to do Lucifron. Bearing in mind, we're level appropriate, and we only took half a raid. Yeah? We're not using TBC and Wrath talents where we can avoid it. We're not using TBC or Wrath gear. In fact, a lot of our guys are in like level 30 to 60 greens. And we absolutely curb-stomped Lucifron in a matter of like a minute. He has 348k HP. 348k. What abilities has he got? Curses and magic effects, all of which can be dispelled. It's like, is this actually a boss or a trash mob? And a lot of the other bosses are like that. Seriously, the only reason you found it a challenge back in the day is because these mechanics were alien to you at the time. Now that you've done anything past that, anything at all, I don't even mean just raiding, I mean like normal instances, Molten Core absolutely frigging sucks. It is boring to look at, the items are awful. I mean, they're so badly itemized. Hey, hunters, enjoy your spirit and shadow resistance. Seriously. The bosses suck. There's too much trash, and the respawn rate on the trash is absolutely ridiculous. Blinking core hounds respawning. Do me a favour. What purpose does that even serve? Their design is horrible as well. You're all over the bloody place. It's too long. It's full of rubbish. The bosses don't drop enough gear. They drop 2 pieces, 3 if you're very lucky. For a 40-man raid. Consider what would happen in modern day raiding if that actually happened. You're looking at maybe getting 1 to 2... Actually, let me think about that. You're looking at maybe getting 2 to 3 pieces in a 25-man, whereas you're getting 4 now, and 5 from, like, N-tier bosses. It's awful. It's absolutely hideous. Now, if any revitalization of old world content involves Molten Core, other than blowing the damn place up, or covering it in bees and tar, then I don't want any part of it. No, it's horrible. Stop thinking the Molten Core would be a good heroic. No. No, no, no. If you don't believe me, go and do it again. If you have fun in there, then email me, and I'll tell you you're a big liar. It's horrible. Good lord, I can't wait just to go to Blackwing Lair and skip this rubbish. Anyway. Let's think about old world content. Should raid content be recycled? Probably not. We're not going to see that happen, I don't think. I don't think we're going to see level 80 versions of old instances, and I don't really see the point in it either. Repeating the same stuff is stuff we were crying out for new content back then. We look at a lot of it back with nostalgia. And indeed, you know, stuff like Arcanist Belt is a nostalgia project. But it does make you realise that while some of the content is great, you did stop doing it for a reason, and you were glad to stop doing it eventually. It's like, oh, 6 months of Zul'Gurub, oh, 6 months of Molten Core, oh dear. There's 6 months of Blackwing Lair. Yeah, it might have been enjoyable for the first couple of months, but repeating the same thing over and over again is boring. That's pretty much a proven fact. It's monotonous, it's repetitious, if that's even a word. It's not good. So I don't see the point in reintroducing that, but what about the stuff that's outside of the raid instances? Is it possible to revitalise some of that? I think phasing brings in a rather unique opportunity to revitalise some of the old world. However, there are certain caveats with this that might work out, well, not so good, let me put it that way. Let's have a think. What could we do? Now, I think the introduction of phasing gave the impression, it's an illusion, let's face it is an illusion, that you could change areas of the WoW world, which is something that you weren't able to do previously. The only time that that's really ever happened, thinking back, would be the AQ40 launch event, the gate event. That's where you can actually affect and change the world to some degree. Admittedly, it was a binary switch, but then again, so's a lot of phasing. Now, phasing could be introduced in the old world based on what quests you have completed. If you have, say, completed a big, long, epic quest chain that should have, say, like, freed this tribe of whatever from this or whatever, that could be brought into effect, and an additional piece of the storyline could be brought in. It would be nice to revisit the stuff that you've done on your way up to getting to where you are and see what has happened, and maybe then take up the cause again. Have the world actually advance a little bit, because right now, the old world is stuck in one particular period of time. It hasn't moved at all. The stuff that was happening 4 years ago is still happening. Now, before phasing was introduced, there was an excuse for that, because it's like, well, you've got to allow everybody to do the content, so you can't really do anything. But now phasing's in place, there is actually no excuse for that to happen. I am trying to think of just some stuff that might change. Say, you basically wiped out an entire tribe of Quillboar down in the Barrens. You absolutely slaughtered them. Now, why exactly are they still there? That's a great question. Why are they still there? Well, with phasing, you could wipe them out and have something else there instead. You could actually put some new quest hubs in there that would involve going back to the Barrens and doing level-appropriate stuff. And it's very easy, because you can have yourselves killing stuff that other players can't actually see. Now, whether or not you have to then micro-instance off the content, that's something I would be okay with. To add new content back to the old world and revitalise it in such a way that it seemed to actually be moving along. I think if you're going to try and tell a story, it's very difficult to do when 90% of your world is stuck in a time warp. As in, they are just frozen in cryostasis. The same loop going over and over again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 4.5 years. Now, of course, there are certain problems with that. The idea of phasing, for instance, in content areas, you could have, like, level 16 players wondering what a level 80 is doing in their area, fighting things which they can't see. Now, naturally, there's a couple of ways around that. You could either micro-instance the content, whereby level 16 players couldn't see the level 80s at all, or the mobs, or anything like that, because they were basically instanced off. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how the phasing system works, but I imagine it could be adapted to do that. We already have kind of weird situations where, say, if you got a Zuldrak, yeah? There was some stuff going on in Zuldrak where one of the quest givers actually moves at one point. Now, I'm pretty sure that you can talk to that quest giver and the players might see you just standing in front of something that doesn't actually exist. This may not be the case, so feel free to tell me, themurloc@gmail.com, if I'm wrong on that. But it does seem to me that the questing system could be adapted in that respect with phasing. Now, the other issue, of course, is the fact that if you introduce level 80s back in the level 16 areas, ganking is going to resurge. Now, again, micro-instancing off the content would be a good way of avoiding that. Do not allow level 80s to see the level 16s if they are doing that content. Probably not a bad idea. I'd like to see stuff evolve. You know, I'd like to see the Crossroads have actually built up a bit. You've done, like, millions of quests for the Crossroads. That place should be a city by now. And there's plenty of other places in the world that have actually ended up doing that. You know, being able to revisit your old stomping grounds, I think, has a certain appeal to it. It's not just nostalgia. It's the idea of having a cohesive world that actually seems to be alive, as opposed to you going to where the cool kids are and 95% of the guys kind of stuck in the corner on the bench while the cool kids dance at the disco. It's not very good. It's not something that I personally approve of, so I would think that, yeah, there is room to maneuver there. There is room to revitalise the content, but don't go too far. When I say revitalise, I don't mean recycle. I just mean put new content in old spaces. Reuse those old spaces, and just carry the storyline along a bit in these different areas. That would be nice. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. When we come back after the break, we'll be talking again about achievements. The Immortal and the Undying. Why do these achievements cause so much drama? And were Blizzard right to remove them from the upcoming meta achievement, Glory of the Raider, Old War? My name is TotalBiscuit, you listen to Blue Plz on WCRadio.com. I'll be right back after this. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com. Yes, indeed, folks, the sounds of children of Bodom kissing the shadows and the sounds of whining in the channel. That music sucks! You are banned! No, I'll let you live, but seriously, you are really awful. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio, the land of more taste than you. Now, we've got an interesting topic that I'd like to cover, as generally, this is kind of how Blue Plz works. I have an interesting topic that I'd like to cover, and you are going to listen to it. If you don't like it, go away. It's pretty much the gist of the show. It's worked for 4 years, it's not going to stop me now. Right. Now, the Immortal/Undying achievements. Those achievements specifically involve, for those who are not aware, the defeating of all Naxxramas bosses in either 10 or 25 man without the death of a single player. Now, at first glance, that sounds, well, challenging but not insurmountable. Which, yes, in an ideal world, I would agree with. However, unfortunately, this is WoW, and WoW is not especially reliable in many respects, particularly since Wrath. A lot of servers have been suffering lag issues and disconnects in raid instances. Indeed, there are some servers where if a Wintergrasp starts, 10 players disconnect from the raid, simply because of the sheer amount of latency that Wintergrasp causes. And now, I have no idea why. I don't know why the WoW servers can't handle that kind of thing, but evidently they can't, because there have been frequent complaints. Now, I personally have experienced certain issues with that. I, for several months, actually had frequent disconnect issues that were caused by WoW. They seem to have been cleared up now, but every now and again, our raiders do disconnect for one reason or another. Now, the Immortal achievement, in particular, is tricky. Not for the fact that, hey, yeah, okay, it's a little bit tricky not to die on every possible boss encounter, but let's face it, most of the boss encounters are actually really easy, and it's pretty difficult to die anyway. Kel'Thuzad perhaps being the only one that could really logically kill anybody. And that would be with a bad combination of Frostbolts, Traps, Chain, and MC. Now, that would be fine, yeah? In an ideal world, in a perfect server, where everyone had zero latency and there was not even the merest possibility of disconnect. But I cannot count the amount of times we have failed that achievement on the basis that someone has DC'd or lagged out for whatever reason. And indeed, I've been responsible for that 1 week, and it wasn't my fault. My connection was fine. What could I do? I just got DC'd from the game. You have been disconnected from the server. Oh, you just got killed on Thaddeus. Well done. Just bear in mind that Thaddeus, originally when it was released, was a complete pain because of server latency. He's still a complete pain because of server latency, particularly getting the achievements on there. Now, personally, I don't care about achievements, but here's the issue. It doesn't matter if I don't care about achievements. It doesn't matter even in the slightest, because there are other people in the raid that probably do, and it relies on everybody in the raid to get the achievement. Not just one person, it's not an individual thing. Everyone has to get it or nobody gets it. Now, there is a thread that I would like you to have a look at. I'm having it posted in the IRC channel right now. If you want to check it out, you better get in the IRC channel, because I'm certainly not linking you to this. It's got like 50,000 numbers in it. Go to irc.mmoirc.com, hash up PowerWow Radio on your favorite IRC client, or check wcradio.com, click in the IRC chat button at the top of the screen. That's the way to get there. Now check out this thread. Now, the thread is entitled, Please Remove the Immortal from the Meta. Now, those of you who don't know, there is a similar Glory of the Raider meta achievement. Now, they're called meta achievements. I don't know why they're called meta achievements. That really doesn't make a massive amount of sense. There's nothing really meta about them. They're just achievements that consist of other smaller achievements. Now, the meta achievement is called Glory of the Raider and involves a whole bunch of different things, including all of those ridiculous go out of your way, stand on your head 7.5 Raider achievements, as well as the Immortal and the Undying. Both of those currently exist. Now, the reward for getting these is a, I believe, 310% speed Drake, the Black Proto Drake, and the Plagued Proto Drake. Now, there are similar ones, Rusted and Ironbound Proto Drakes, which are being introduced with a new Glory of the Raider achievement for Ulduar. However, the Immortal, while it is coming back, and the Undying, which is also coming back, are not part of this meta. Now, this person is basically arguing that they should also be removed from the current meta. And his rationale is basically this. Most of the achievements, in fact, I'd say all of the achievements in the meta achievement, Glory of the Raider, depend basically on your ability to raid in a particular fashion. Most of them make the encounter a little bit harder. Some of them are just hilariously pointless, like, hey, do Sapphiron with under 100 frost res. And your success on that depends less on your ability to actually do it with under 100%, with under 100 frost res, as, oh, did your DK turn off his frost resistance aura this time? It's not a hard achievement by any stretch of the imagination. But Glory of the Raider is tricky. It's tricky for a couple of reasons, one of which, of course, would be Sartharian 3 Drakes, but mainly the reason why it's tricky is the Undying and the Immortal. The problem with the Undying and the Immortal is, while on paper they look like they're skill-based, in reality, in the environment of the servers, which are not reliable, and in the environment of people's connections, which could in fact be unreliable, and let's face it, it is not somebody else's fault. Now, it's not... You cannot say that at all. You can't just say, hey, it's the fault of the person whose connection is bad. No, it generally isn't. They bought the connection, they expect it to work, and that's a pretty reasonable thing to assume. Sadly, there are some service providers that just basically suck, and a lot of people don't have options, particularly in certain countries where ISPs are less diverse than in the United States. I mean, you can look at the US and like, oh, you can choose all these other ones if that one sucks. Well, a lot of countries aren't like that. I want the best connection I can really have in this area. It's a 3 megabit from TalkTalk, and it's ADSL, and I can't really get better than that, and I'm actually having some issues with that connection. There's nothing I can do about it. It's either that or I don't have this connection. Like, either that or I don't have broadband. Broadband at the speed that I need and want. So no, it's not their fault at all. And the argument this guy was making is perfectly valid. Really. Really is. Perfectly valid. And I cannot imagine why this would be an issue. But of course, because this is the WoW forums, people are incredibly dumb. Incredibly stupid in manners which I could never possibly imagine. Yeah? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. There's some guy whose post got deleted. This is the first, reply. I believe this got deleted. I stopped reading here. You haven't worked for anything. If it does feel like working, get a life. Well, that doesn't mean anything, for one thing. I mean, this entire thread is basically Imbecile of the Week. What can I say? This entire thread. And it keeps going on and on and on. Yeah? If you don't do Immortal, you don't deserve an awesome-looking Drake. End of discussion. That is not, in any respect, the end of discussion. Let's face it. And this is posted, of course, by a level 3 posting all called Bentiage from Balnazar. Because people, of course, are a little bit too cowardly to put their dumbass, retarded opinions on an actual character that, could actually affect them in some way. It's like they're embarrassed of their own posts. And they should be. They absolutely should be. Right? The drivel, the vomit-worthy, delirium-inducing drivel that comes out of some people's keyboards these days boggles the mind. It's like my brain wants to escape out of my ears when I read some of this stuff. It's like, please, please stop torturing me. Please, I'm begging you. This should be illegal under the UN, the Human Rights Act. There should be laws against this kind of torture. Ugh. That is irrational. Yes, okay, in an ideal world, the Immortal would be a good achievement, but it is not an ideal world. This is not paper. This is how it actually functions. People DC all the time for reasons which are not necessarily their fault. The servers are balked. Let's face it. There are issues with the servers that have been since Wrath. Yes, they are working on fixing them. Yes, sometimes they're alright, and on some servers are better than others. That's the great thing. Some other idiot said, oh, well, we can do it on our server. Yeah? It's like someone said, and no one did in ours. Like, the original poster said, that's why 10 people disconnected on 4 Horsemen on our tries the week before last. And then some other guy called Bullshot. And how many Tauren blinking hunters have you seen called Bullshot? Like it's funny. From a guild called Can You Eat Seal on Jadenar. Har, har, har. Very funny. Edgy and wacky. You could be on student radio with that kind of thing. And no one did in ours. Funny world, isn't it? No, it's not a funny world. Grats, you're on a server that isn't broken. There are others that are. I cannot imagine why. I'm seeing all of these posts. You see loads of posts like this. Oh, well, this doesn't happen on our server, therefore it doesn't exist. No! You are a very small part of a very large world. And yes, there are things which do not necessarily affect you. That does not mean they're not legitimate. You are one of 12 million. Actually, let's face it, no one really cares about you. It's absolutely terrible. I mean, there's another post here from Sanajar, level 24. Yet another posting all because people are too cowardly to post on their main. Please remove all of the meta because I need them out now and I am too a crappy player to get the achievement thousands of people already have. It doesn't matter if thousands of people already have it. It's pot luck as to whether or not you can actually get it. You can play perfectly and get screwed over because someone gets DC'd. That is not an achievement. That is luck. That is rolling the dice. It's like, I wonder if this week there will be a Warsong Gulch, or Warsong Gulch, it's the same thing. Winter Grasp, WG. Too many acronyms that are all the same. There'll be a Winter Grasp that lags out half my raid in the middle of Thaddeus. I wonder if everyone's connection will hold up for 4 hours. I wonder if there won't be a power cut. I wonder. And of course, there's no system to protect you from that at all. Therefore, that achievement should not be part of the meta. Because it doesn't prove skill, it proves how stable your server is. Now, that's an achievement that Blizzard should be shooting for, not me. Now, personally, I don't care about this. I don't care about this achievement. I don't care about achievements at all. I don't give a damn if I get Immortal or Undying or not. The thing is, there are people in my raid that do, and it causes consternation. It causes heaps of drama. It wrecks the guild dynamic. It causes a lot of damage. Most of the anger that I've seen... I've rejoined Lethe. You know, I used to be a member of Lethe ages ago, and I remember the anger and stuff that occurred in, say, Cthulhu wipes and stuff like that, where people did stupid stuff. That's justifiable anger. But the thing is, most of the anger that I find happening is coming from stuff like failing the Immortal or failing the Undying. It's like, yeah, the reason you failed the Immortal is generally not because someone screwed up. I mean, our raiders are good. They know what they're doing. I don't see people generally dying in Nax for no apparent reason. There's usually a reason for it, and most people avoid it. 99.9% of the time. But the main reason that I see people dying is not because of their own incompetence. It's because they've DC'd or they've lagged out. Or whatever reason. You cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, base an achievement that is so desirable. And it is desirable because you're asking people to shoot for a piece of loot. Yeah? If it was just a merit badge, it wouldn't be quite as bad. But it's a 310% mount and it's quite unique and it's got a nice title. Yeah? That's a pretty good reward. So yes, people are going to shoot for it. And indeed, raiders who are trying to train up for Old War are going to shoot for it because they say, well, if we can't beat Nax and Immortal, then what chance do we have in Old War, which is supposed to be more difficult? And I would agree with that rationale. You should be shooting for the Immortal all the time. You should be shooting for the Undying all the time. That should be default. The problem is that you can't. And it's not our fault. So yes, it absolutely should be removed from the meta. And people need to get off their damn high horses and quit their bloody posturing. It's like, it's okay to be elitist from time to time. It's okay to say, oh, well, you're not good enough. But it's like, I am not good enough not to get disconnected. What? Listen to yourselves when you talk. You are really not very smart, evidently. Because that just doesn't make any logical sense. And good lord. Same argument's like, you get disconnected from a multiplayer game. Oh, you weren't good enough to win. What? Same argument's like, oh, I am going to a sporting event. My car broke down. You weren't good enough to win. That's why you didn't win. No, I didn't win because I wasn't able to show up because my car broke down. No, you didn't win because you weren't good enough to not have a car that doesn't break down. My brain is breaking down right now. Under the ceaseless assault of utterly illogical drivel. How can people... I mean, just try and answer me this. These people exist, right? We realise that sadly these people exist. They defy all laws of evolution. I mean, someone that can breathe and operate and do day-to-day tasks couldn't possibly think this stupid. Really? Could they? It shocks me. It disgusts me from time to time, and good lord, that thread is a shooting gallery of stupid. Ugh. Can we round them up? Seriously? Can we do something with them? We don't have to necessarily, kill them all. We could use them for food. Firewood, maybe. Enslave them. For the good of society. You know what I'm talking about. Makes perfect sense to me. Get rid of all the scrubs. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you listen to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. When I come back after the break, it'll be your turn. The illusion of choice! After a wee bit of Evergrey. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com.
Yes, full tier 7, complete clear of all TBC instances, saw Tharian 3 Drakes. Perfect raid attendance, very impressive, mister. What did you say your name was?
Ah, you can call me the Count.
Yes, Mr. The Count. There's only one small problem.
Oh, and what would that be?
Well, you see, we're the Daywalkers, and...
Oh, I see. It's because of my racial heritage. That's what it is it?
No, I have nothing against you or your people personally, sir, but I'm just not sure we're the guild for you.
Preposterous! I love sunny afternoons, see? I shall cast open the curtains and look upon this a beautiful day.
I'm not sure that's such a good idea. Oh, it's gonna stain. WoW should fit into your schedule, not the other way around. We are the Daywalkers of Draktheron US, and we are a serious afternoon raiding guild. We are recruiting experienced players whose schedules favor raiding in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. We raid on weekdays, and our first pull starts at 1:30 EST, that's 6:30 GMT. If you're serious about raiding but having trouble finding an alliance guild that suits your schedule, then you should check us out at daywalkersguild.com. We require 75% raid attendance and ventrilo with a working microphone. If you fit the bill, then head over to daywalkersguild.com or speak to an officer in-game on Draktheron US. Oh, can someone get the janitor in here and clean up this mess?
Yes, indeed, folks. You listen to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. Overrunning and loving it. What can I say? Extra length. Extra length for you good people. Now, it's time for the illusion of choice, whereby we allow you to choose the topic at the end of the show and shatter your illusions of choice by only choosing one of them that I prefer. See? It's clever. It's an illusion of choice. Now, I had an interesting topic here from Dragron. He's a level 55 dwarf hunter on Draenei US, and he says this: Hey TB, I was wondering how you felt about the concept of making the dual spec system cost 1,000 gold, and if you think this might cause a rise in gold selling. And if you don't have a level 80, you would never see 1,000 gold as a 40. When I was level 40, I didn't even have 100 gold. So do you think this is a high price will cause gold sellers to get more business? Okay. First things first. Introducing something with cost will always cause gold buying to go up. All the time. Why? Because some people are incredibly lazy. Yeah? And that sucks. It really does. But that is not an excuse at all to not charge. Yeah? That's the whole point of an economy. You're supposed to buy stuff. Too many things already are either free or incredibly cheap. I don't know, I'm being spoiled on the economy of EVE Online at the moment that's actually dynamic and player-driven and all that kind of stuff, and I know that could never possibly happen. Not in WoW, no, not even close. But, yes, if you are going to get an extra feature, which is, let's face it, what you're getting, then, yes, you should have to pay for it. And 1,000 gold is not hard to get at the appropriate level. Now, some people would argue, of course, that it's like, oh, yes, it's hard for level 40s. Now, just tell me, why the hell do you need dual spec at level 40? Really? You don't. You don't need dual spec level 40 at all. Now, back in the day, it was like, oh, well, you could go tank and you could go raid. Right, to start with, even if you're doing stuff at level appropriate, you don't need to be spec'd into tanking. You don't even need to be spec'd into healing. The stuff's easy. That's assuming you're even doing it with a level appropriate group, which is incredibly rare to begin with. That and your power level is increased. This is something that most people don't seem to realise. While leveling up, yeah, your power level is higher, yeah? It's not over 9,000, but it's pretty close. It is higher than what it was 4 years ago because of the way the talents have been changed around. You've got access to abilities and power that you never would have previously. That means the instances have gotten easier. All of the content has gotten easier as a direct result of that. So to be honest, you do not need dual spec. Dual spec is a big luxury, but it's a necessity for level 80s, yeah? It's a big deal for level 80s. For anything under that, yeah, it really is a luxury, guys, seriously. I don't really know why they even caved, to be honest, on that particular subject. But I don't see any problem giving it to everybody. It just, if you're going to get it level 40, then I certainly hope it's an alt, because otherwise you're not going to have 1,000 gold. while you're leveling up for the first time, I would imagine that you're not even going to think about dual spec. You're going to just try and learn one. That's what I'd be doing if it was my first time playing through. I wouldn't probably have realised about dual spec or anything like that. That wouldn't be something I'd be interested in. I was like, well, I'll just learn this one. It's easier. I don't really need to go into anything that's like prot or holy or whatever, because I can have a DPS spec and still go do instances anyway, because most of them are either boosted or with a group of multi-boxers or RAFers with heirloom items and all stuff like that. And again, your power level has increased. Stuff has gotten easier. They haven't buffed the difficulty level of the stuff, the low level instances. That's not happened. So you're going to steamroll it one way or the other. Now, on the subject of gold selling, gold buying, sadly, some people are just lazy. And it doesn't matter how easy Blizzard make getting gold in the game, people are still going to do this. Now, gold selling is a pet peeve of mine. Gold selling is actually the reason that you've got this site that we have right now. It's not entirely complete, because gold sellers hacked into our site, or attempted to at any rate. They weren't very good at it. In fact, they really sucked at it. Now, nobody actually got infected by a keylogger because all of our scripts stripped out. Our scripts stripped the scripts. That's really hard to say. They did. We actually had countermeasures in there which stripped out the scripts that were inserted, and now our site is hardened against that kind of thing. And indeed, when the gold sellers discovered that, they decided to DDoS our site. Now, just to understand this, and if any of you have bought gold, just understand this. I have no sympathy for you. At all. I will not take any excuse. Oh, I have RL, blah, blah, blah. I am too busy, blah, blah, blah. No, you are financing the kind of people that do this to sites. I know of 4 WoW sites in the past 3 weeks that have been hacked. Yeah? Big WoW sites. Our site got hacked. Warcraft Movies got hacked. Was it WorldofWar.net? I can't remember. I think, yeah, WorldofWar.net did actually get hacked at one point as well. And How I WoW, the podcast that Patrick and Sean do, that got hacked as well. These are literally criminals that you are financing here. We're not just talking about questionable grey area of morals here. We're like, no, oh, well, I think gold selling's okay. Well, you might think that buying gold and selling gold's okay. Blizzard doesn't. But yeah, I suppose you can argue a little bit of a moral grey area there, where there's some debate. What there isn't open for debate is the compromising and the stealing of innocent people's accounts. Or the compromising of innocent people's sites. That is their property. It is illegal to do that. It is against the law. It is a criminal act. These are the people you are financing. I can't believe the amount of wangs that we get on the forums, like, oh, there's so many gold selling ads, do something about it. These same people are probably the people who bought gold in the first place and financed the damn ads. It's horrendous. The double-faced, double-standard hypocrisy of the whole thing. I can't understand why people would pay money to cheat in an online video game anyway. It's like, that is just stupid. Really? Have you not got anything better to do with your money? Donate it to charity. Or even if you don't want to do that, buy something that's real. Don't buy virtual gold, for God's sake. There are things you can actually live without in WoW if you don't have the time. Either that, or just wait. Just be patient. It's not that hard. Really. So no, if you bought gold, I have no sympathy for you. You financed the guys that hacked into our site, you financed the guys that hacked into all these other guys' sites, and you financed the guys who hack innocent players' accounts every single damn day. You are accomplices. You are responsible for this kind of thing happening. And yes, I hope you do feel guilty. Yes, I hope you do feel bad, because these people are scum. And I will not accept the arguments like, oh, they're just trying to make a living. What right do you have? No, they are scum. They are criminals. It's the same friggin' argument saying, oh, well, I'm just breaking into houses to make a living. Screw that. No. Get an honest day's work, for God's sake. The companies you are working for are profiting off of other people's intellectual property against their will, for one thing, and getting away with it because they happen to be in China. The Chinese won't do a damn thing about it. And they're not just doing that. They're going beyond that. They're going into hacking, criminal acts. And they are stealing things which belong to other people. Theft, hacking, fraud, phishing, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's all the same thing. And if you support these people, you're scum. It's that simple. I'm not accepting any excuses. Repent your heresies. If you bought gold, then you suck. Pure and simple. And yeah, you can redeem yourselves. You can go out and you can warn people about keyloggers. You can go out and you can warn your friends. Maybe your friends buy gold, say, hey, you know what, this isn't cool. Because the next time one of your guildies gets hacked, you're the one who financed it. You specifically. You are an accomplice. And don't give me the excuse that you didn't know. What the hell did you think was happening? Do you think it was some random script kiddie in his bedroom hacking all of these accounts? No, it wasn't. It's companies, gold-selling companies, that do this. And you're the guys who financed them, and you'd have to be a dumbass not to realise that. So quit it. Seriously, the only time that gold selling and gold buying is going to stop is when everybody stops. You can eliminate these whispers. You can get rid of all of them. All you have to do is stop buying gold. It sucks anyway. I mean, good lord, grow up. Why on earth would you spend money on something that doesn't exist? I can give you something to spend money that doesn't exist. I have right here an invisible hat. I will sell you this invisible hat for only 35 English pounds. I will sell it to you. I will ship it to you right now. Buy now and secure yourself free postage and packing. An invisible envelope made entirely of air. At least then I can tell you that I won't be financing criminal acts with my invisible hat. With the money, my ill-gotten gains. It's the same thing, you're buying something that doesn't exist. It's pathetic. It's stupid. Why the hell would you do it? I can't fathom it. Some people just must be absolutely lobotomized. Gold selling will be stamped out eventually. I'm determined to see it happen. And you can try and hack our site as many times as you damn please. I don't give a damn. We'll just bring it back up again. DDoS us all you damn well please. It won't make a difference. Because at the end of the day, DDoSing always fails, and the site always ends up at the end of it anyway. So just get lost. Go away. We do not want you in our game. You are scum. As are the people who you associate with and sell to. And there ain't no bloody excuse anymore. Shout out time, folks. If you want to shout out, then email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. Or send me a PM on IRC. That's IRC@MMOIRC.com. #WoW Radio. Alternatively, you can click the chat button on the top of the screen. Last 5 minutes of the show, folks, so send it round there. And just a quick reminder, if you want to enter the contest to win a signed copy of the hardback Blizzard Burning Crusade art book, which I will be providing for those who wish to get their grubby little mitts on it, then you can head over to undergroundwow.blogspot.com, the little blog that we're supporting here. Hopefully it will get much bigger in the next week or so, and leave a comment. Leave something good. Seriously, I'm seeing like comments that are like one line long. Write something properly. Go on there. And of course you can check out my blog, which is blueplz.blogspot.com, which will be supplementing the content of the shows from here on in. Shout out time. Shout out time. Early shout out to Arcanist Belt, because we are downing rank this week. Yes, we are. And then I'm never setting foot in that place again. Well, I probably will, but we'll try and clear it as fast as possible, because, God, MC sucks. A shout out to the Grip of Soul Defiance Brotherhood EU. That's from Mar Zelk. And I had a couple of shout outs that came in my email earlier. This is the problem. Don't send shout outs unless it's the show, because I never remember. Seriously. I never, ever remember at all. A shout out goes out to Seath. Huh. Interesting. Ah, yes. Seath says, TV told me to start a new game last week because I had 6 level 80s. Well, I took your advice now. I have 2 rank 40s in war. Which else will win? How much free time do you have? Can I have some, please? Obviously, you've got it in abundance. A shout out to the people from the other side guild on Mazugo EU from their leader, Limus. Oh no, Limus has started a guild on my server. Good lord. Can I get a shout out to Snickersnee, Idonus, and the rest of the gang in Eternal Heroes on Thunderhorn US, they rock. Just a, is that, sorry, that was almost Adonis. If that was Adonis, by the way, there's like a group of male strippers that do cabarets in England called Adonis, so I wouldn't recommend naming yourself that. Shout out to those who already signed up tomorrow's Arcanist Belt Raid, that's from A-Leaf, we're looking forward to it. Shout out to Duncorp from Hymata. Yes, I'm playing in Duncorp. I'm getting my Omen Frigate. That's actually an Omen Cruiser, never mind. I'll have an Omen Frigate too, that's good. I would like a shout out for... No, I don't do shout outs to myself, that's just incredibly egotistical. A shout out to Cadwallian for his amazing new site. Can you plug the site wowpro.com, since it is a useful site for less experienced players? So plugged. And to you for making me roll a Troll Mage for an alt. Troll Mages are the best mages. Any indication to otherwise is simply fallacious and factually incorrect. I'd like a shout out to my 2S, whatever works, Shooting for Gladiator Go Go, Yarg Holy Paladin, Ale and Arms Storm Rage US. If that was a sentence, then you're just going to have to let me know because I'm not entirely sure. A shout out to my guild slackers who only show up for next face roll raids and not Sotharian or Malagos. Lol, learn to play. Shout out to EVE Online players, that's from Riff Raff, yes, go get yourself podded. A shout out to Grim Legion on Kern Tor from Solamus, that's from Black92 SI. Shout at the... What? A shout at? Shout at the people buying gold, burning fire. Consider yourself shouted out. Give a shout out to Prodigal of Echo Isles for being awesome and downing Sotharian 3D. Three-dimensional! Oh. Yes, whatever. A shout out to me for being awesome and for... No, quit it! Not all that silliness. A shout out to my guild, Delava, on Masrigo EU. Masrigo, the best server. Quite obviously, I'm done, folks. We are completely out of time. Check out our other shows at wcradio.com. Go check out the blogs that we mentioned, undergroundwild.blogspot.com and blueplease.blogspot.com. Feel free to go post on our forums. If you like what we're doing, we are run by advertisement and player donations. Very much appreciated. If you've got a couple of dollars to spare, then you can donate to our PayPal, which you can find on our front page, or donate to WoW Radio Donations via PayPal at gmail.com. That's WoWRadioDonations at gmail.com. I'm out of here, folks. I've been TotalBiscuit. You have been a wonderful audience. Good night. You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz, a show that airs exclusively on wcradio.com on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That's 3 p.m. EST. You can check out our archives on our website at wcradio.com and subscribe to our RSS feeds. Don't forget to rate and review us using iTunes, and if you wish to leave constructive